Welcome back. Today I'm going to analyze one of my rapid games that I played very recently on chess.com. Hopefully the analysis board will continue to last throughout the recording of this video. I've been having problems with that site, just a heads up, for about the past 3 or 4 weeks, which is a little ridiculous for a modern website. But this is going to be a 2-part video. First, I'm going to try to figure out how in the heck that I win this game. And then I'm going to go back and figure out how I lost it before that. I know that might sound confusing, but I had basically lost this game and I only continued to play because I had more time left than my opponent. Here in the position that's shown on the board right now is about the farthest behind that I ever got, according to the little chart on the game review. I just scrolled over to the spot at which the number was the lowest. This is -10, according to the eval bar on the left. I had just played an inaccuracy, and I won this game after being down -10 on move 24. I'm down a piece if I'm counting right. No. Am I just down 2 pawns? Okay, I'm just down 2 pawns. We both have 2 minor pieces left. They're opposite colored bishops, but their bishop's a lot more powerful than mine right now. So just evaluating this for myself, pretending that the eval bar wasn't available, their bishop is kind of preventing my king from going anywhere, for one thing. Their queen is pointed through here, only stopped by this pawn, which is barely guarded by my queen. As I mentioned, my bishop is pointless, pointing at nothing, and in danger of being easily threatened here, where it then would have to hide, and then the queen could go over here and start picking off these pawns. It looks like here, if I had to guess what my opponent should have played here, I think they should have played h6, but they didn't. They brought their rook over here. I'm going to turn on the lines since it's my opponent's moves. I'm not going to try to figure out what they should have played. Yes, they should have played h6 to threaten my queen, and it says I would have left it there. No. Yeah, I would have left it there and instead threatened their queen. But then they would have just taken mine, and then I would have bumped my queen up 1. Why wouldn't I have bumped my queen up first if they played h6? That's what my plan was. If they played h6, which is kind of what I was expecting, I was going to go forward. But what you can't see on your screen is that I had 6 minutes left at this point, and my opponent had just dropped under 3 minutes in a no increment game. Otherwise, I would have resigned a little bit before this. I felt like I was trapped. I was about to get mated just a few moves ago. At least I was pretty sure that I was. Anyway, my opponent played their second best move, which dropped their lead down to about -6. Oh wow, it says I played my best move here. My idea for playing, again, leaving the lines on, I played knight to g2 to block this bishop's path from coming down through here. But I think that's why their rook had moved over. They thought that maybe they had mate. And it looks like if I had played anything else, wait, they didn't have mate. My rook is guarding that square. I didn't see that. Oh my goodness, I thought that was my only move. Okay, well that's how bad at chess I am, so don't take my word for anything. Always check these things with Stockfish or your own experience. But yeah, I did not see my bishop guarding this square. I thought they had mate in 1 unless I put my knight here. But it says that's not the case, but that is my best move. I put my knight here. I thought they would take it and I would take it. In fact, I pre-moved. My king taking the knight here, or taking their bishop. But they did not take my bishop. They instead, what did they do? They played their second best move again. Their first best move was knight to f6. Honestly, here, I think I was expecting them, again, I expected them to take my knight, but I thought if they didn't, they might put their rook here, which would directly threaten my queen, or do the h6 again. But it says their best move is knight to f6. I'm not sure what that would have done, but their second best move is what they played. They're threatening this pawn here. I played my second best move, which kept us at about -6. I didn't know what else to do. Again, thought I was lost. I thought I might have a chance on winning on time. What you can't see on their clock is it took them almost a minute to choose that move. So they're down to 118, and I still have 5 minutes left. So what I played was my second best move of bishop to a3, going after their rook, because it comes with a tempo. Sometimes that's what matters. You're taking the initiative. You're making a move that your opponent has to respond to. If they went ahead with their plan of just taking that free pawn, or taking this one, because I just gave that pawn up too by moving my bishop, then I would get their rook, and then they would, I assume, take back. Also, if their queen left the 5th rank, again, if they did this, and I did that, and they took back with their knight, their queen wouldn't be here anymore, so I would be, aiming at that pawn. My best move, sorry, their best move here, it says, was to put their rook up here. Again, I thought they might put it here. I thought they might play rook to f5, directly threatening my queen. And that would get it out of danger. It would force me to move, and it would give them the advantage. But instead, they played their third best move, which was rook to f7, which does get it out of danger. I almost played there. I admit it. I think maybe the reason that they moved it to f7 was because their knight No, their knight's not in danger either. Their knight is protected by their bishop. But yeah, I did almost play my queen down here once their rook moved, but I at the last second noticed that their queen was guarding that square. Here, I decided to give up this pawn, but protect my bishop. Since my bishop's not aiming at anything more, I thought, well, at least I can protect my c pawn. And it turns out that that's not one of my best moves. My best move is just to move this bishop back to b2, according to Stockfish. Well, I moved it there, and that takes us back to -9 again, or almost -10. Okay, well, maybe I should have started here then. Now, their best move here is to take this pawn. That's what it says. I'm not sure about that. It says if they had taken that pawn, I would go down here. Well, since I had seen their queen there, I was definitely thinking about that. This forces their queen to go somewhere. So I kind of hoped that they would take this pawn, but the Stockfish says that's their best move. And it says that I would check here, but then they would block with the rook. And then I would just give up my queen by taking here. Wow, that's what it says. But they played their third best move and lost half their advantage. Now, I know why they did this. I'm pretty sure, because they didn't want their queen to get off of the 5th rank. Because they have a lot of pieces that are all protecting, like that's protecting, the bishop is protecting the knight's protecting the pawn, the king is protecting the rook, and the queen is protecting that pawn. And I guess they were worried that there was a kind of a tenuous tie between all of these pieces, that I would be able to take one and then start taking the others. Okay, I played my second best move here. Stockfish says my best move was queen to h5. No, queen to h5 here. I guess maybe because that doesn't really threaten the rook because the king's protecting it, but it does threaten the bishop. That's why I moved to h4, which Stockfish says is my second best move. That's what I played. Now I'm still down. I'm still down -5, according to the engine right now. This is a weaker version of the engine because this website has forgotten how to run Stockfish 15, which was working just fine 3 or 4 weeks ago, and is still working fine on all the other websites, just not here. Now, this is when they decided to take here. They're supposed to have moved it back. It's what the engine wants, but it's their second best move to take. The game review counted that as inaccurate, and I don't remember if I pre-moved that or not, but here my opponent is in serious time trouble. They're down to less than 30 seconds, and they played their best move, which is c5. My best move is to just drop my bishop back to a3, but my second best move, no, Stockfish is still thinking about it. Oh, I played my best move. I took here. Yeah, Stockfish eventually decided that that was my best move. Well, I decided on that pretty quickly, 4 seconds. I only spent 4 seconds on that. It just now took Stockfish about 10 seconds to figure that out, because now if they take my bishop, their queen's unprotected. Well, they must have seen that. They played their best move, which was moving forward slightly, where their queen is protected, and I'm in check. Well, I thought of several ways to block that check. One would be with the rook. That's possible. But then I assumed they would take my bishop, and then I would have to take their pawn, and I would still be down. But my best move was to block with the pawn, which I did. But now, they take my bishop? Yeah, now they're supposed to take my bishop, but now they're under 10 seconds, and they messed up. They went here threatening my queen, and you see the problem with that? I didn't see the problem with that. I just checked out of desperation, thinking maybe I can win this game on time. I assumed that they would block it, but then I realized they can't. Their rook is pinned to my king. That knight could not move because their knight sitting there on d7 is what was blocking my rook from getting down to the back rank. It counted that as a great move, but it was great by accident. Again, I thought they were just going to block with the rook. I was going to trade off, and again, it was trying to win on time. And here's where my opponent ran out of time. But their only legal move in this position is to block with the queen, and I would have taken, and it would have been mate. Because I had 3.5 minutes left, I would have figured that out. So that's how I won this game, even if my opponent had not run out of time. So I was behind all the way until that knight move. Wow, okay, maybe I should have started there. But yeah, that was their blunder. Here they should have taken my bishop. They would have still had a -4 advantage. And I think if they had taken the bishop, Stockfish says I would have taken their queen, but I don't know that I would have traded queens at this point, because then I would only have one rook left for their rook and the knight. But again, they were very short on time. So I think even if they took that and I took here and they took back, I might have won on time, even so. So that's something to consider if you're in a position and you're not sure whether you should resign or not in a very short game like Rapid, Blitz, and Bullet. If I'm way ahead on time, I'll keep going, because there's always that chance that you can either get the draw if they run out of time and you don't have any sufficient material, or you can get the win, as in this case. Because again, my opponent just flat out blundered. And so even if my opponent had a few seconds left, their only legal move was to block with the queen. Okay, now I'm going to go back and see how I got behind in the first place. All right, we're at the beginning of the game. I'm going to click through the moves until the point at which I fell behind. I'll speed this up in editing. Okay, I don't even have to play my next move. I remember I had been planning on castling at this point because I didn't think they were going to do this and leave their knight undefended. And I castled. It wasn't a pre-move, but I castled very quickly. I don't know how many seconds I spent on this. It says 3, so not very long. But that I didn't expect it. And I guess that's why one reason to play games this long where you do have a few seconds to check. Instead of just going, well, they took that pawn, I guess I'll castle. I should have asked myself, what was that pawn doing before? Very often when a pawn moves, it leaves something unprotected or a square unprotected or something. And in this case, when they took my pawn, which I was more than happy to give up at this point, that often happens in Queen's Gambit positions, the pawn stopped defending the knight. And as soon as I castled, I saw it and I was like, oh, I hope they don't see that, but they did. So here is where I lost a huge advantage because we were about even, as you saw, right before they captured with that pawn. And I'm not sure what they should have done here. It says they should have either got this knight out or brought this rook over or even played f6. One of those 3 moves would have kept us about even. Those are the top 3 listed by Stockfish right now. Actually, if you can see on your screen, knight to d7 is listed twice now with 2 different evaluations for some reason. Okay, so Stockfish is having more trouble than just being Stockfish 11 instead of 15. It's having problems deciding whether that's 1 move or 2. It thinks that could be 2 different moves. So beware evaluating games on chess.com. They did that, and I did not take enough time to see that they had just handed me the knight. I would have had a +5 advantage, but I missed it. And that took us back to, I still have an advantage. And maybe that advantage is because now I still have a tempo. They still have to run away with their knight. I don't know. Okay, but then a few moves later, I'm going to skip forward to that part, is where I gave away what little evenness or advantage that I had. Okay, right here, I left the lines on, didn't I? I saw out of my peripheral vision that the lines were left on. I'm going to turn those off without actually looking at the moves. That happens to me a lot. All right, right here, I'm pretty sure is where I started falling behind. Now that what I played was taking the knight, but that's what allowed their bishop to get in there. I'm in check. Should I have just moved over? Because those are my only 2 legal moves, right? I'm in check. I can't go out here because the knight is protecting that square, plus I don't want to get in front of that. So I'm guessing I should have moved over instead of taking the knight. Yep, that's it. I would have maintained a very slight advantage had I just moved over, but instead I took the knight. And that they only had 1 good move there, and they made it, which was taking my bishop. And that left our rooks facing each other. That didn't look great to me, but I did notice that their other rook is still trapped. So I took their rook, and it does say that that's my best move. But I was behind from here on, all the way up to the point we saw at the beginning of the video. What should I have played here? It says knight to f3 or queen to e3. Oh, I guess both of those would have been going after this pawn, maybe. But I think if the knight had played there, wouldn't they have just pushed the pawn forward? I don't know. I guess then I could have gone up and threatened the bishop. But yeah, I was behind from here on out. So it was a very simple matter, and it was right there. I was not supposed to allow the bishop in there. I was supposed to keep this bishop here protecting my rook and just step the king away. I guess the reason that I didn't is I was worried about if that bishop ever did get out of the way, something like this, and my king wouldn't be protecting the rook anymore. But the bishop's protecting the rook, and the queen's protecting the rook, and my other rook is protecting the rook. So I shouldn't have worried about that. I should have just moved the king over. If they had tried to come back, I would have taken... Okay, what would they have done if I had moved my king over? It says they would play queen to b6. Really? Oh, aiming down here, maybe? That doesn't make sense. I have 3 pieces guarding g1. That's what it says. Queen to b6 is their best move. Queen to c5 is their next best move. But I still would have had an advantage. Okay. And of course, backing up all the way to me castling there. Yeah, I should have taken the knight. I would have been a piece ahead on move 10. or 11 once I moved. It would have been move 11. So 2, doing that instead of, that's not even counted as a mistake. It's counted as a miss, which is a new category that chess.com started just a day or so ago. It's not counted as a blunder or anything, but it's counted as a miss because I didn't take that knight. And then the other one over here was counted as a mistake when I got to there. Yeah, that was counted as a mistake. And then I was behind until my opponent blundered that knight right at the end, all the way down on move 32, 31. Yeah, I was behind all the way to there, and my opponent had 4 seconds left. I played that move, and they ran out of time. They were probably trying to figure out why they couldn't block with the rook, is my guess. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.